Oh, hey there! So a while back, I was looking for a game to play, something I could just kind of zone out and release some stress, and eventually I decided to play Once Upon a Katamari. Now I realize there's a bit of irony there, because depending on how you play Katamari, it can actually be quite stressful, but I just wanted something simple and classic. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, I slowly chipped away at the game, and that's when I realized something that I wouldn't have expected from a game released in 2025, but it was a welcome addition nonetheless. Once Upon a Katamari uses a file select screen. So in that game, it's actually pretty simple. You're only given 3 files, each one representing 2 letters from the word Bandai, and whichever one you select causes the prince to roll it up with his Katamari and take it off into the background. It's relatively innocuous, and I'm betting that most people who play the game don't even put that much thought into the fact that it even exists. But me, being the classic overthinker that I am, it made me realize how much I missed something as simple and stupid as a classic file select screen. Most games nowadays don't even really have a file select screen in the same way that they did in the past. Instead, you're given a choice of starting a new game or pressing load and seeing a list of every single save and autosave file you've ever had displayed out in front of you, often with a rather basic and boring user interface. The file load screens just don't have that pizzazz and fun found in older game file select screens. Being a child of the 80s means that I've experienced the full gamut of how games have handled storing a player's progression when they turn off the game, even if that meant not storing any progression at all, and instead simply flipping off the player the moment they press the power button. The original Mario trilogy was in that latter camp. I'm not sure if it's because back then I was just a kid, therefore I had a lot less games to play and fewer opinions about those games, but this never really bothered me. Because even though Mario 1, 2, and 3 didn't have any form of save system, what they did have were warps that took the player to later stages in the game. Sure, you have to find these warps, and sure, you still have to play a certain chunk of the game to get to them, but ultimately, these warps did a pretty great job at helping players get back to a level quickly had they not had enough time to finish it in their last play session. Now there was a much more efficient way of storing a player's progression, and that was of course the password system. The first games that I remember experiencing that had password systems were Mega Man 2, Castlevania 2 and 3, and The Guardian Legend, which one day I will eventually gush about how much I love. Each of the NES Mega Man games, outside of Mega Man 1, had this relatively simple password system, being a 5x5 or 6x6 grid. Whenever you beat a stage, you'd be able to see the password that marked your current progress through the game. You'd take out a piece of paper, draw out the grid, and place the dots, or simply write down the letter and number each dot was in, and you were golden. When you turn the game back on, you'd select the password screen, enter your code, and you were right back to where you left off. Meanwhile, Castlevania 2 was a bit different with how passwords were displayed, as you had to lose all your lives and purposefully choose to not continue the game before you'd be shown the password. This was a 16-digit code consisting of numbers and letters, but was relatively simple all things considered. Unless of course you were like me and constantly messed up the letter O and the number 0. In Castlevania 3, after losing your lives, you could just choose to view the password. This consisted of a 4x4 grid that you inserted various symbols into, being either a whip, rosary, heart, or simply leaving the space blank. Visually, it's neat, but writing it down is always kind of a pain due to the format. But for me, the most daunting password screen had to go to The Guardian Legend. For those of you that are unaware, it's a pretty big game, so there was a lot that needed to be conveyed in each password. How many keys you had, what weapons you acquired, which of those weapons you upgraded, your total health, which areas you cleared. It's a lot of data, and therefore the password had to be a massive 32 characters, consisting of not only uppercase and lowercase letters, but numbers and punctuation symbols as well. For some reason, all of the lowercase letters had umlauts over them, which often led to me writing down the wrong thing and utterly destroying my progress. I've never minded the password system. In fact, some of these screens are so ingrained in my memory that it's hard to not be nostalgic when looking at them or hearing the music attributed to them. And yet there was such a better method, saving, and alongside that, the file select screen. When I was writing the script, I was trying to think of the very first file select screen that I'd ever seen, and I just kept coming up with SNES and Gameboy games because it seemed so natural that the NES was the era of the password or no save system at all. Meanwhile, a technological marvel like the save system had to be reserved for better hardware. Then I realized I'm stupid, and the very first file select screen that I remember seeing is from The Legend of Zelda. I played a ton of The Legend of Zelda as a kid, both that and its sequel, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Both of these games had a save feature, as the cartridges came with a battery backup, allowing the player to actually save their progress in the game. Similar to how you would view passwords in the previously mentioned titles, to save in either of these two Zelda games, you first needed to die, and then you could save, taking you back to the title screen. And before any one of you says it, yes, I know, you can simply pause the game and press up A on the controller in port 2. That'll also bring up the save menu. But the big difference is that back then, nobody knew that. Or at least I didn't know that, and I'm lumping in everybody else with me. So oftentimes I would just die to save the game. The amazing thing with these two games is that you actually had 3 files to choose from, meaning other members of your family could have their own progress file, or you could simply start new files without losing progress on your old one. As for the file select screen itself, I know it's just nostalgia talking, but I really do love how simple it is. The icons are just sprites from the game, and there's absolutely no music here, but it's still such a classic. With the release of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, the series would really find its stride with how it presented the file select screen. It introduced us to the theme that would later be known as the Fairy Fountain theme, but at the time was simply the file select music. A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, The Wind Waker, The Minish Cap, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, A Link Between Worlds. All of these games use some iteration of this song, and they always manage to pair the music with such great looking art. Except for the N64 games. I know this is classic, but to me, it's just boring to look at. And I realize that sounds insane considering the fact that I said that I like this. But what can I say? I like what I like, and something nostalgia. Meanwhile, the 3 Game Boy games, being Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons, and Oracle of Ages, used their own unique song based off of the main theme of Zelda. But Link's Awakening went a step further in both making its file select the most memorable, but also the most terrifying experience for me. I'm sure most of you already know where I'm going with this, but for those uninformed, stick with me, and for those informed, stick with me anyway. Visually speaking, I love Link's Awakening's file select screen. It's decorated with these bricks, but in the top right corner we can see 2 Armos statues standing outside. These are completely unique sprites, not seen anywhere else in the game, mind you, and something about them just really stuck with me. I'm not sure why they chose this almost underground looking setting for a file select screen, but I dig it, no pun intended. Visuals aside, there was something else about this file select screen that stuck out to me. You see, all of the previous Zelda games always let you name your file, and sometimes Link's in-game name would be based off the file name. In Zelda 1, if you named your file Zelda, it actually changed the sprite and you'd start on the game's second, much harder quest. When I got Link's Awakening, I was for some reason compelled to name my file Zelda as well, and the moment I did so, I was greeted with this. For whatever reason, naming your file Zelda changes the file select music to this remixed version of the main theme, with the most jarring and scary transition that little 7-year-old AJ had ever experienced. They actually kept this feature in the 2019 Switch remake, but the song isn't nearly as jarring there. In fact, they even added a second hidden song if you name your file Marin. Depending on the region you grew up playing the original, you had access to different songs. The Japanese could name their file TOTAKA to get TOTAKA's theme to play, an Easter egg found in numerous Nintendo titles. French players could enter the name Lolo to get a unique track, whereas German players could enter the name MOYSE to get what I can only describe as the most German-sounding song to play. Link's Awakening also had one more fun file select secret. Regardless of what you named yourself, should you ever steal from the shop, then your name in-game and the file name would be permanently changed to Thief for the remainder of your playthrough. I love this kind of stuff because it's such a weird little surprise your first time experiencing it. Moving on from Zelda, but sticking with the Game Boy, we had Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. This was the first time I was ever presented with what I would call an interactive file select screen, and for a while, Nintendo was all about these. When you start the game, Mario falls out of a pipe into a room with 3 more pipes labeled A, B, and C. These are your files. You enter one of these pipes to select your file. The game auto-saves your progress after clearing each stage, and it shows your progress displayed above each pipe when you go to load the file. On the right side of the screen is a clear box that turns Mario into a bomb. Going down a pipe while in bomb form will clear that file. This was just so cool to me as a kid. Not knowing how games worked back then, I always had this constant wonder of where did that pipe in the top left lead to? You couldn't actually jump up there, but if you could, would it have led to some other super secret world? This is basically the same as me wondering where that initial door from Mario 2 would have led, which I later found out just leads to the same room that you're already in, so sorry to anyone else who was still curious about that one. I've always been a big fan of when games place things just out of reach to allow the imagination to forever wonder, what's over there? Also, Bomb Mario is cool, and it's kind of funny how he gets a unique sprite only for the file select screen. Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land had a similar approach to the file select. When the game starts, you see Wario wearing his classic Wario hat. He charges into the save room through a cracked wall on the left, only to immediately lose his hat down the bomb pipe on the right side. He then jumps up, grabs his spare hat, which looks infinitely worse, mind you, before giving control to the player. From here, it's pretty much the same as Mario Land 2. You select a pipe, and the game auto-saves each time you beat a stage. You can also turn Wario into a bomb by using the pipe on the right side, giving him a unique Bomb Wario sprite to delete whichever files you wish. Now that's not to say that file select screens have disappeared entirely in modern games. I mean, Shovel Knight, Cyber Shadow, Bloodstained, or the aforementioned Once Upon a Katamari all have file select screens, of course. And yeah, I'm lumping Shovel Knight and Cyber Shadow into modern games, even though they've been out for quite a while now, especially Shovel Knight, but I digress. I think they're definitely more apt to appear in titles that try to capture the feel of classic games. I just love that designing a unique or interesting file select screen was someone's entire job at one point. They're literally the gateway into the game, and they give you the idea of the type of personality the game is going to have. They're just so much more interesting than the load screen that exists in modern games, consisting of just endlessly scrolling through files with slightly different dates attached to them. So how do you feel about file select screens? Are there any memorable ones that come to mind that you really enjoy? Let me know in the comments. Unscripted AJ time. So I know this is a bit of a shorter video. I'll be honest with you guys. While I was writing the script, our puppy went and broke the growth plate, or one of the growth plates, in her leg. So we've been stuck on watch her 24/7 duty while she heals over the next 6 to 8 weeks. She's totally fine. I promise. I'll post like pictures and videos here. She's doing great. If you follow me over on socials, I'm pretty active on Blue Sky. SimplyAJ.com on Blue Sky. Very easy to find. I post pictures and videos of her all the time. But basically, she had to get like a little surgery where they put in like 2 pins and some wire, and now she's got to be on crate rest. She's not allowed to like really walk on it all that much, even though she wants to, because she's only 5 months old and she wants nothing more than to play and get zoomies. But we have to be super vigilant about it. We have to like pick her up and carry her out whenever she needs to go. It's a whole thing, right? And when I write these scripts, I actually tend to write them within like 1 or 2 sessions. Like sometimes I just can hammer one out. Sometimes I take like a day. But with this one, I was writing it, this whole thing happened. I took a pretty extended break while dealing with this. And when I came back to it, like I couldn't get like in the same mindset that I was in when I first started writing the script. Like it just wasn't flowing anymore. So, I kind of looked at this like incomplete script and I was like, good enough. And I decided to shoot it as is. So, there were other like file select things I want to talk about besides just like Mario and Zelda. Like Banjo-Kazooie has a great one with the, you get like injected into the walls and things like that. Like there's a lot of cool ones I want to talk about. There's a lot of cool stuff I want to get to, but like I just kind of figured, I really want to get a video out, and it was either let this script sit and just gather dust and never record the video, or I'd have to delete the whole thing and start all over from scratch, and that would also take just as much time. So I just didn't want to deal with all that. I just wanted to get the video out. And you guys are smart. You know what I'm getting at here. You know how this conversation goes by now. I'm talking a little bit about it. You add something to it. We talk in the comments. It's good. So you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So if you're wondering why there was such an abrupt ending, that's why. Yeah. Sometimes these things happen, but like I want to get a video out. I wanted to make a video. I was feeling like I wanted to get it done. So here we are. So yeah, I want to hear about you guys' file select screen stuff. If it's something you haven't even thought about and now you are, let me know in the comments. I never really asked for it, but I'm going to do it now because I'm rambling, I guess. But yeah, the whole, like, comment, subscribe, share. There's a hype thing now. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I've never seen it on videos I watch. Like, apparently you can hype a video now. So along with all the other millions of things you're supposed to do to like help promote these videos, that's one of them, I guess. But you do it, you don't, whatever. I appreciate the fact that you're here viewing it regardless. So yeah, anyway, that's all I got. Let's talk about file select screens in the comments. And yeah. All right. Bye.